Hi folks, Gabe here with Backwoods Pursuit, and today we're going to take a look at the Ollin Nexus System. This is a magnetic base plate system that takes the place of your standard Arca style base plate. It's very versatile and can be used in a lot of different capacities, whether you're using it for optics or on your rifle, even with a bipod. I'm going to show you how each of those work and how to set those up. And we're going to look at some of the things that you may want to consider if you're looking at the Ollin Nexus system, like what problems does it solve, what downsides does it have. I'll put a link to the Ollin Nexus system down in the description if you want to check it out for yourself, and a link to our website, backwoodspursuit.com, a ton of gear reviews over there. Let's get started. To get started, let's take a look at the components involved in the Ollin Nexus system. It really comes with two primary components and two adapters. The first is the base. The base attaches to the tripod head and it stays there. It lives there. It doesn't ever need to come off unless you want it to. The second is the plate. The plate attaches to each of the optics. You're going to want to get one for every optic that you want to use, and I'll show you why in just a moment. Now, the plate also attaches to either of the adapters. There's an Arca and a Picatinny adapter, so depending on which you want to use, you can utilize and attach one of these adapters to your rifle. If you have a rail on your rifle and you want to be able to use this system to shoot off of your tripod or even with a bipod, you have the ability to do that. And to attach this, you're going to take your plate, and there's a little notch on the side of the plate, and it also has a groove or a little hook on the side of the adapter. It's going to lock into that. You can turn it and put that screw in there, and now you have a system here that is either Arca or Picatinny adaptable to your rifle or to some other system that is where you might need Arca or Picatinny. So it works really nicely that way. The other component here is that you can utilize this with a bipod, and the way that you can do this is if you have an Arca compatible bipod, you can slide a base in here. This is a situation where you do need a second base, and you're going to lock that base into place there. And so now you have a base here on the bipod, and if you've utilized an adapter with this plate here and attach that to your rifle, you now have a system where you can attach that rifle to either the bipod, or because you also have a base here on your tripod, you can shoot off of your tripod. So it really makes it so that this system can be used for glassing or shooting or with a bipod very quickly and easily. You can switch from one to the other. Now, as far as some of the specs here, the base comes in at 2.8 ounces. The plate comes in at 2.7 ounces. And then the Picatinny adapter is 1 ounce and the Arca adapter is 1.2 ounces. Those are on my scale. So the combinations of how much each setup is going to weigh, you're always going to have that base on the tripod. So you're going to be adding that 2.8 ounces to the tripod. So you're a little bit heavier than the standard Arca style base because of those magnets, and also because of the fact that you have to also have the plate on every setup. So you have a system that's going to run you roughly in that 4 ounce, 3.8 to 4 ounces roughly. And then if you start adding the adapters, you add another ounce to ounce, 1.2 ounces. So you can have a variation of different weights depending on how you set it up, but that's generally what the systems weigh and what you're going to be adding to your setup. So that is one of the downsides to the Nexus system, is you do add a little bit of weight in exchange for that convenience and the ability to very quickly change from an optic to a binocular, to a spotting scope, to a rifle, to a bipod. You have that versatility and that speed that is very handy and useful in exchange for a little bit of weight penalty. So what problems does the Nexus system solve? Well, primarily you gain that speed and the ease of use and the versatility of being able to swap from optic to bipod to rifle. If you've ever used a tripod head that has one of these knobs like this that you're twisting, have to twist that to then pull your optic off, then you set your optic down, grab your base plate, or if another optic was attached to this, you slide it in there and you have to tighten it back down. It takes a lot longer than being able to leave this base plate on here, not ever have to move that or remove that base plate, and you literally just press that with your thumb, grab your next one, put it on your next optic, and you're ready to go. The other benefit I see to this is it has the ability to lock by pressing this little button here on the lever here, the thumb button, and then now that is locked into place, so the optic is not going to fall out or fall off of the Nexus system. So it has that benefit as well. The other benefit is that if you fully integrate the Nexus system, whereas you say have these plates on all of your optics, the plate on your rifle, and a bipod, then you really are fully integrated and everything is super quick to change from one to the next. The downside to that is if you don't have everything integrated, if you have the Nexus system on one, but say not on your rifle or not on your spotter, you're going to find that as a frustrating thing. You're going to have both Arca and the Nexus plate, or you're just carrying a little bit extra weight and having to basically go back to the old way of unscrewing the base plate and putting something else on there. So it kind of negates the user friendliness of the Nexus system if you don't integrate everything into the system. So if you go with the Nexus system, you want to integrate all of your pieces to that. It brings me to the other downside here is going to be the cost of doing that. The plates and the bases are more expensive than a standard Arca style base plate. So you're going to have a little extra expense up front to get everything integrated. Once you do, though, you get to take advantage of the speed and versatility of the system. When I was out testing and using the Nexus system as a shooting platform, I did note a little bit of lateral play in the connection point. Now the magnets are so strong, it really didn't affect the performance at all. And I was, to be fair, looking to see if there was any play in that connection point. But I didn't notice any performance difference, but it was there, so I wanted to make note of that as something that if you're using it as a shooting platform, putting torque on that rifle laterally, you may note a little bit of play there, but once you get that locked in and getting ready for a shot, those magnets really do a good job of keeping that on target. Now, one other side note is that if you carry a camera around, while this does certainly work with a camera, if you carry a camera on the shoulder harness of your backpack, they don't yet have that system set up. I hear that they may be working on that, but currently, if you carry a camera in that manner, it doesn't have that functionality yet. So that is one thing to consider, but it does obviously work with a camera as well. I found, though, if you are using a real small camera, these magnets are so strong, it's a little bit much for a small point and shoot style camera. If you're using a larger DSLR, then you're going to be just fine. But they are such strong magnets, they can literally pick up a 4, 5, 6 pound tripod just without the lock even being engaged. So they are very, very strong magnets, and that's one of the reasons why you have a little extra weight in the plate and the base as well. So who is the Ollin Nexus system for? Well, for me, it kind of breaks down like this. If you are someone who values the speed and the versatility and the ease of use of a system like this, then you are going to absolutely love this. It is so fast, it is so easy, it self-aligns just like their snapshot system, and you really don't have to think about using this, swapping from one optic to the next, and you never have to worry about that falling off of your tripod, and you don't have to remove this and utilize the levers and the knobs and whatnot that oftentimes come with your Arca style tripod heads. So it's super nice in that regard. Now the system does come with a weight penalty and a bulk penalty, and it's a little bit on the pricey side when you compare it to a standard Arca style plate. So if you put a system here together with the base and the plate, you can see that is a fair amount more bulky than just an Arca style plate. Then if you go ahead and add on an adapter there, now you're significantly more bulky than an Arca plate. But you do have that extra versatility, which is fantastic. So for me, really, that breakdown is, if you're okay with the extra weight, the extra bulk, and it's a little bit pricey to get everything set up, then you're going to absolutely love the system. But if you value just being ultralight, minimalistic, and basic, obviously that Arca system and Arca base plate has been around for a long time, and they're fairly inexpensive and very lightweight. You can even get these less than an ounce in a lot of cases. So that's kind of the way that I see as far as who's going to like the system and who may not. I'd love to hear your thoughts, though. Is the weight and bulk penalty of the Nexus system worth the speed and versatility that you get with it? Or you want to stay minimalistic and go with the Arca style base plate that's been around forever, and you can pick these up relatively inexpensively. So I'd love to hear your thoughts and comments. Drop those down in the description. I will put a link to the Ollin Nexus system in the description as well, so you can check it out if you would like. Thanks for watching here today, and we will see you next time.